This is the Nashvillager podcast. It's July 10th, 2026. One of the most high-profile court events in American history started in a small Tennessee town on this day in 1925. The Scopes monkey trial was technically a challenge to a Tennessee state law barring public schools from teaching about evolution. But really, it was about the theory of evolution itself, and about the conflict between religious beliefs and scientific knowledge, and about who should control school curriculum. It was one of the hottest topics of the day, and as two of the nation's most prominent lawyers essentially held a multi-day debate, the world watched and listened carefully. I'm Nina Cardona, and this is your daily digest of what's happening around Middle Tennessee with context and backstory from Nashville Public Radio, WPLN News. If you aren't familiar with Dayton, it's in Ray County. It's midway between Chattanooga and Knoxville, near the Tennessee River. And back in 1925, town leaders really wanted more people to know about their community. Visitors mean money, and they were hungry for both. So when the ACLU announced it would pay the court costs of any teacher willing to be formally accused of breaking the law by teaching evolution, the powers that be in Dayton were eager to make it happen in their town. The high school's science teacher refused, but a substitute named John Scopes was game. He couldn't recall ever teaching a formal lesson on the topic, but said he remembered once telling kids to review a diagram about evolution in their textbooks. That was actually perfect, just enough to justify arresting him, but vague enough for him to legitimately plead not guilty, guaranteeing a trial. The man who agreed to defend Scopes was one of the most famous trial attorneys in the nation at that time, Clarence Darrow. On the other side, William Jennings Bryan, a former congressman and presidential candidate who had spent 4 years leading a national campaign to ban discussion of evolution in American schools. With such high-profile lawyers on board, the Dayton plan to draw visitors to town worked beyond anyone's wildest dreams. The entire downtown area became a sort of primate-themed festival. There were 6 blocks of booths selling food and souvenirs like stuffed monkeys. Someone brought a trained chimpanzee to perform shows. Musicians played novelty songs about evolution. It was also the very first American trial to ever be broadcast live. WGN Radio from Chicago had to lay miles of rented cable connecting Dayton to their studios. It cost them $1,000 a day. The judge allowed them to place 4 microphones in the courtroom and even rearranged the furniture to make it more convenient for the radio. For 6 days, the nation listened through the opening statements and expert testimony delivered in the Ray County Courthouse. You can only imagine how stuffy it must have been. I mean, think of the weather we're getting right now, but without air conditioning, in a room stuffed to the gills with people. So on day 7, the judge decided to move the proceedings outside under the trees so they could at least benefit from any breeze that came through. And that's when Darrow made an unusual and iconic decision. He put the prosecuting attorney, William Jennings Bryan, on the stand as an expert witness on the Bible. At this point, it truly became a direct back and forth. Darrow with questions like, when exactly was the earth created? How many days did it take? Where did Cain get his wife? Bryan pounding his fist and declaring that he was simply defending the word of God. That was too much for the judge. Bryan's testimony was struck from the record. But Darrow knew he'd made his point as well as anyone ever could. He and Scopes decided to end things the next day by changing the plea to guilty. But that direct confrontation on the courthouse lawn had radio listeners around the nation sitting on the edge of their seats. They couldn't forget what had been said there. It's the reason we all still remember the Scopes monkey trial. And it was dramatic and compelling enough that the town of Dayton still uses it to bring people to their town. Since the trial's 75th anniversary in 2000, Dayton has hosted an annual play each July, acting out key moments of the legendary event with lines taken directly from the court transcript. This year's run of shows last 2 weekends, starting next Friday. They mark the trial's 101st anniversary. And after all this time, the battle over whether religious ideas should dictate what is taught in Tennessee schools is still being waged. It's at the heart of the moves to ban books from school libraries and the new state law requiring schools to teach about the positive impacts of Christianity. In just a few minutes, meet Nashville's hamburger influencer. That's coming up after the newscast.
I like to say Nashvillager in the morning. This is Nashville in the afternoon. I'm Blake Farmer, the new host, and yes, WPLN's midday show is also a podcast, and we understand lunchtime listening may not be your thing, but that doesn't mean you have to sit out. You can listen wherever you get your podcast, like right here, or ask your smart speaker to play the latest episode of This is Nashville.
Here's the latest from WPLN News. Tennessee's lethal injection protocol will not be getting an update. That's what Governor Bill Lee told reporters in Knoxville this week. That question has been floating around since the Department of Correction tried and failed to execute Tony Carruthers in May. First, the medical team failed to place traditional IVs, and then the doctor on site failed to place a central line in a deeper vein. Lee ended up calling into the prison and ordering the staff to stop. Still, he said, they were following the rules.
I think as we have observed, it was carried out appropriately. The Department of Correction did exactly what they were supposed to. I decided to suspend the execution.
Kit Thomas is one of several attorneys representing Tennessee's death row inmates. She noted in a written statement that the rules say to hire a doctor who can successfully place a central line, so the May execution was a violation. In 2022, Lee did order TDOC to rewrite its protocol after he learned the agency was failing to test its drugs for contaminants and potency. He also put a moratorium on executions for 3 years. There have been calls for him to do something similar after Carruthers' failed execution. Specifically, critics want the state to beef up its qualification process for the IV team and doctor. But at least during Lee's tenure, it appears that will not happen. The next lethal injection is scheduled for August 13th. Attorneys for Darrell Hines say TDOC refuses to clarify whether the same doctor will be overseeing the execution. 2 people arrested in East Nashville under a state law that makes it a felony to camp on public land have had their charges reduced. Both people, who are unhoused, were arrested at South Inglewood Park late last month. Under a rarely enforced 2022 law, the residents were initially charged with felonies. After involvement from the local housing organization, Open Table Nashville, one of the cases was retired as long as the defendant doesn't return to the park for 30 days. The other person was held in county jail for over a week before his charges were reduced to a misdemeanor and he was released. Open Table co-founder Lindsay Krink says even with the charges reduced, this policy can be very harmful.
We just feel like these policies of not only arresting people for homelessness, but also prosecuting them still, even under misdemeanor charges, is not only cruel and unjust, but it's also ineffective because it did nothing to get either of the defendants who were arrested closer to housing. This is not the way we address homelessness, and it's certainly not the way to solve it.
Crinks called on Nashville's leaders to condemn the camping law and find a way to address homelessness without police involvement. A new program is offering Pell Grant recipients more short-term job opportunities. The Workforce Pell Program is a partnership between the Tennessee Higher Education Commission and the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce. It's designed to help Tennesseans quickly gain new skills while improving the state's workforce pipeline. State leaders say this training will set students up for high-paying careers. Pell Grants are available for students who can show great financial need. The Workforce Pell Program is expected to make federal financial aid available for short-term training opportunities offered by Tennessee colleges and universities. Well, for the first time in a long time, Tennessee Congressman Scott Desjardins is facing a well-funded challenger. The Republican incumbent was elected to the 4th District seat more than a decade ago amid scandal. There were allegations that he'd been violent with his ex-wife and forced her to get 2 abortions, which he denied. And 2 years later, the former doctor was fined by the Tennessee Board of Medical Examiners for having sexual relationships with patients. But he weathered those storms and settled into a relatively quiet political life, holding onto his seat without engaging in much publicity during election seasons. Tennessee's recent congressional redistricting now puts part of Nashville in Desjardins' district, and Metro Council member Mike Cortez is running for that seat as a Democrat. So far, the Tennessean reports Cortez has raised more money than Desjardins. The Nashvilleian has the backing of some recognizable local names like former TSU president Glenda Glover and Ingram Industries chairman John Ingram. So far, Desjardins' financial support primarily comes from out-of-state PACs. The high cost of real estate in Middle Tennessee is driving more families to consider multi-generational living. Kristen Darden is a realtor with personal experience. Her family and her parents sold their homes in Spring Hill so they could afford a larger place together, closer to town. She says the situation works best when families speak openly about finances and expectations before moving in together.
It's not going to be the same as your childhood. Hopefully the food is still good, but it's not going to be the same. So you have to sit down and really be intentional about how are we going to help each other lift the load, what's going to actually be alleviated, and what problems are going to be solved by moving in together.
Darden also helps clients find multi-generational homes. She strongly recommends making sure the home has a separate entrance for each generation. This is Nashville's episode about multi-generational living. Also revealed there are 26,000 unoccupied rooms in the homes of seniors in our area. Listen wherever you get your podcasts or at thisisnashville.org. Well, a nasty stomach bug that won't go away has popped up across several states, including Tennessee. It's called cyclospora, and it tends to occur in the summer months, May through August. Public health experts say it is commonly associated with fresh foods that may have been grown using soil or water contaminated by feces. That includes bagged salad mixes and kits, fresh herbs like basil and cilantro, raspberries, and fresh vegetable trays. Cleaning the produce may not always do the trick, and it's highly resistant to disinfectants. Symptoms are similar to typical stomach bug, but they can be intense and difficult to treat. It is not fatal, and it is not passed from person to person. There is medication to treat it. You'll find more news anytime at WPLN.org. It's Burger Week in Nashville. 60 restaurants around town are offering burgers for just $8 and competing for votes. In the past year, one Nashville burger influencer has been bringing business to local burger joints. Music and culture reporter Justin Barney got him to reveal some faves and his impact on the burger scene.
Chef Chris Colley always starts his Nashville burger reviews with the same 3 words.
Emergency burger review. Dino's. Emergency burger review. Charmers. Emergency burger review. Elliston Place Soda Shop. And it's offensive that it's taken me this long to get here because this place
I didn't put any forethought into it.
That's Chef Chris himself.
I was in Bellevue. I was waiting to get my hair cut. I had about an hour to kill, and Cletus had just gone in down the road. Just figured I'd throw up a burger review. First thing out of my mouth came, "This is an emergency burger review." Obviously, it was not an emergency. That's just what came out of my mouth.
People loved that first video. So he did another and another. His third was at Karen's Custard, an old school burger joint in Smyrna.
Emergency burger review. Karen's Custard in Smyrna.
I posted that. It got 1.5 million views. So at that point, it was like, all right, this is what the people want, and I really enjoy burgers, so I'm going to continue to do these.
Chef Chris is a personal chef himself, so he has cred. And he is dedicated to being impartial. No comps, no recognition, just reviews. Over the past year, his views have gone viral, boosting his following on TikTok from 5,000 to nearly 30,000. He keeps a running list of his rankings and scores. And over the past year, he's become a bit of an authority on burgers in Nashville. And so after all of his tabulations, what are his top 3?
Number 3, Cafe Rose. Super simple. Ratio is on point. Just amazing. Number 2, Bad Luck Burger Club. As far as doing the smash part of a smash burger, they do it the best. Perfect char, perfect lacing. That one is right down the road for me, and I go to town on Bad Luck. And then number 1, been number 1 for a long time, Dream Burger. Smash patties, Martin's potato roll. He smashes his onions directly into the patty like an Oklahoma style. So a little bit unique there. And then his sauce is ridiculous. Smoked tomatoes, German mustard, and a bunch of secret spices that he would not share with me.
Dream Burger, a little food truck tucked into the parking lot of Vinyl Tap in East, is his number 1 burger in all of Nashville.
It was very noticeable. We definitely got busy right away.
Cole Meyerstein, the owner and operator of Dream Burger, said that he saw a big difference in turnout once Chef Chris dropped his review.
I mean, we were definitely, starting to sell out because I wasn't prepared for the amount of sales we were going to have.
After a year of reviewing burgers, you think that maybe he'd be at the end of the line in terms of reviews. But that's the thing. New burger joints open up all the time. He said he's got a list of 50 new ones just from his followers dropping comments. The people who he says make the whole thing work.
All I do is go and, make a goofy cheeseburger video and post it to TikTok. It's the followers that are actually the ones watching it. They're like, hey, that looks good. I'm going to go support this place. Like, good or bad, I'm going to go try it. I mean, they're the ones who are actually making the difference.
So Dream Burger is number one. For now. For him. What's the best burger in Nashville? That's for you to decide. Justin Barney, Nashville Public Radio.
We do this roundup of Nashville news every weekday. Please consider subscribing on your favorite podcasting app. Thanks so much to all of you who've left 5 stars, a thumbs up, or a review in your app of choice. A little bit of love really does tell the algorithms that more people should hear about us. And of course, everything at WPLN News is listener supported. You can make a donation at WPLN.org. And that's it for today. Thanks so much for listening. Let's make this day a good one, and we'll catch back up next week.